preventing global nuclear war. Quals 95. A world in which the United States exercise leadership would have a tremendous advantage. Such a world without have a better chance of dealing cooperatively with the world's major problems. Nuclear proliferation treats as regional and global hegemony by regulating states and high efficiency. U.S. leadership can also preclude the rise of another hostile global rival and dividing the United States and the world as another global war, and its attendant dangers include a global war exchange. And cutting revenues is key to preventing attacks. Reducing cash flow to terrorist organizations is key to preventing attacks. Rule 1. Cutting off the financial lifeblood of the individuals and organizations responsible for the September 11th attacks on terrorism is vital step to dismantling organizations preventing future terrorist attacks. The profits from trafficking fuel all other activities of organized crime. 2006. Profits made from human trafficking are enormous. Source of money for organized crime is estimated $9.5 billion per year. The sale and distribution of trafficked humans in the United States is a global, regional, and national problem. Human trafficking, especially children, enables these international mafias to play in the wilder field of trafficking drugs, weapons, arms, chemicals, toxic wastes, and even piracy in the higher seas. Research substantially in disputes links between human trafficking and organized crime syndicates the world all over. Their whole case, they talked about how we need to implement this new funding from $300 billion stimulus package to abortions, but as we've stated, our human trafficking and drugs is a much bigger problem. As we said, it's the number three most world and national domestic problem behind drug trafficking and arms trade. So you can tell that human trafficking, by legalizing this and giving them the funding and helping for prostitutes, this will decrease the AIDS, and that is a global epidemic. Like my opponent said, that we are not sticking to a global standpoint. Well, as we stated, that human trafficking is a worldwide phenomenon and problem. If we stop in America, we can help the world by showing that we're taking a stand. They talk about poor. If you're in poverty, you're not getting an abortion, and this can end the cycle of poverty. As we stated, the SSI and SDC are running a deficient that if we do not give them more funding, that in 10 years there will be no funding left to adequately and sufficiently run this organization. They talked about war as a problem of destruction and gender oppression as a proof of violence. As we have stated, that if we legalize prostitution and human trafficking, this will thus end violence because men and women are working together, giving them the rights that they deserve. Women's rights are destroyed because they're poor, they're life-threatening, safe abortions are not right. They talk about a 17-year-old girl that paid $150 to get or something like that to get beads so she wouldn't have this. As you can show that if abortion's not getting there, they're finding alternative ways anyway, so why put more money into a flawed system. They talk about empowering women to survive. Medicaid is killing. It requires more funding. They talk about the $300 billion they've used. As we can say, the money that we get and the revenue from drugs and prostitution and human trafficking can sufficiently run both programs. Go back to our definition for this round was an activity designed to promote social well-being. We're promoting social well-being by giving women the rights. Our observation one is heresy, human trafficking is a problem. We've talked about that this industry is estimated about high as $32 billion per year. Our second one was initially we know that there are tons of thousands of individuals trafficked. There's approximately 45 to 50,000 are trafficked in the United States each year. 1 million people are trapped in the system of exploitation. It's estimated 1 million people living in the United States under slave-like conditions. Trafficking also causes a major global impact. We talked about it legitimizes economies, fuels violence, threatens public health and safety, shatters families, and sheds the social fabric of necessary progress. Demand is the cause of human trafficking. It's the male demand for commercial sex services that stimulates, sustains, and expands the sex trade. The prisons overcrowding. The Bureau of Justice statistics in 2002 reported that 7.2% growth in federal state prisons. The number of inmates incarcerated for drug offenses has gone up. Nearly 315,000 people were sentenced to state courts for drug offenses in 1988. 42% were sentenced to drug, jail, 26% jail. The number of inmates incarcerated for drug offenses rose almost 450,000 by 1999. The failing SSDI, the deficit for 75 years is equivalent to $25.33 trillion in 2003 and a $1.46 trillion increase in 2002 report. That is from the 2009 report. Our plan takes that we pardon the criminals, legalize drugs and prostitution in the United States, implement federal-run agencies that produce, regulate, and distribute drugs and prostitution in the United States. We can use the money that we obtain from this to help SSI and SSDI, and this will help alleviate coverage in America and alleviate poverty. The money spent on drugs each year, we spend an equivalent of $100 billion a year in drug trafficking. Cash moves to the United States financial system. Also through its inherency, SSI acquires $39.6 billion a year, and the problem with the program is insufficient funding. And if we legalize drugs and prostitution funding that we get from this, can obtain and fix SSI. And the 2017 is projected to have almost a loss of 17% in 2040, almost an estimated 78% of promised residents will be lost, a shortfall approaching $7 trillion. To adequately run SSI, we need $39.6 billion a year to fix it. When $100 billion is spent a year on fighting the drugs and war, by implementing our plan, $100 billion should go to SSDI and SSI funding, which is more than enough to meet it. And we also solve the SSDI deficient problem by increasing benefits for participants. This would alleviate poverty in the United States significantly to roughly 7.5 million recipients of SSI in 2009. The number of SSI programs recipients, there's ovals. In 2008, there were 1.23 million recipients. In September of 2009, there were 6.37 million blind or disabled recipients that needed the funding. The rate of growth in applicants from 2005-07 increased in about 3.6 per year. SSI 2000 report defines SSI as a way to alleviate poverty. It talked about the Supplement Security Income Program SSI. This is not an insurance program, rather it's designed to alleviate poverty, thus ending the resolution. Feminists agree that to end human trafficking must legalize prostitution. They've stated that feminist groups all over the world say that to end sex trafficking of women and young girls, we need to legalize and regulate prostitution and provide sex workers' rights. As we can say, the whole debate comes down to women's rights, abortion. If we legalize prostitution and human trafficking, this will end the back alley abortions, because now we can legalize this and it'll help that. Drug legalization could fix our prison overpopulation. According to the 1888 Statistical Abstract of the United States, there was almost 35,000 inmates were in just because of drugs that causes prison overcrowding. Observation forwards advantages of legalizing drugs can cause violence to decrease. Violence was common in the alcohol industry when it was banned during Prohibition, but not before or after. Violence is the norm in illicit gambling markets, but not in legal ones. Violence is routine when prostitution is banned and they are not permitted. Violence results from policies that run black markets, not from the characteristics of good or activity in question. The only way to reduce poverty is to legalize drugs. Thank you.
Human trafficking is a problem. Andrew F. Tolley, 08. Human trafficking is the third largest global criminal enterprise, exceeded only by drug and arms trafficking. By some estimates, the industry is as high as $32 billion a year. Initially, we note that there are tens of thousands of individuals trafficked into the United States every year, only to be trapped into a life of poverty. McDonald, 02. Each year, approximately 45 to 50,000 women are trafficked into the United States. Trafficking for sexual exploitation devastates the lives of victims. Sexually exploited women and children face a life of poverty. 1 million people are trapped in this system of exploitation, RYF 02. There are an estimated 1 million persons living in the United States under slave-like conditions. Trafficking also causes massive global impacts, Clinton 09. Human trafficking is a crime with many victims. It weakens legitimate economics, fuels violence, threatens public health and safety, shatters families, and shreds the social fabric that is necessary for progress. And it is upfront on our basic values and our fundamental belief that all people everywhere deserve to live and work in safety and dignity. Demand is the cause of human trafficking. Professor Iris Yan, 08. The male demand for commercial sex services